In this episode, do you have a desire to run above the clouds? To climb tall mountain peaks? Well, you can do that and more. As I talk about sky running, yes, if you have a desire to do intense mountain running, that might be the race for you. So stay tuned. Welcome to Martha Runs the World, a podcast with a new take on running, fitness, and all things health-oriented. I'm Martha Hughes, your host, and each week I present a new topic that is of interest to all runners. Hi, and welcome to episode 346 of Martha Runs the World. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I truly appreciate it. If you love the brutal ascent of mountain races, if you can't wait for the pain to start in your lungs when you climb up those mountain peaks, sometimes you do it just for the fun of it. If you look for mountain races that include things like rock climbing, going up ladders, 10,000 feet elevation gains per 50K, then sky racing might just be for you. I always tell road runners that we trail and ultra runners power walk up hills. Well, unless the hill is near vertical, sky racers run uphill. They are the crazy exception to the rule. They are the mountain goats of running. You may never see them in other races outside of these wild sky races. That's how specialized it is. This is an extreme type of trail race. It started in Europe and has spread rapidly everywhere on the globe, wherever there are mountains. That's right. Don't expect to see them in Kansas or Florida or anywhere that's flat anytime in the near future. There has to be good tall peaks in sky racing for it to work properly. They don't have to be monstrously high. Sky racing is big in the UK, and they don't have really tall peaks. They have enough elevation that it works well in some parts of that area. And they have to be wild enough to create a good challenge. Since its inception in 1993, skyrunning's global popularity has exploded. Today, there are over 400 skyrunning races worldwide, with about 100,000 runners traveling from more than 65 countries each year to take on some of the most technical mountain races in the world. So what does skyrunning actually involve? And is it for you? Skyrunning was first conceived by Italian mountaineer Marino Giacometti, who pioneered races to the summit of Mont Blanc and Mount Rosa in the Italian Alps in the early 1990s. He founded a governing body for the sport, which later became the International Skyrunning Federation, ISF, in 2008. The ISF defines skyrunning as running in the mountains above 2,000 meters altitude, where the climbing difficulty does not exceed 11 grade, International Mountaineering grading, and the incline is over 30%. In other words, high-level mountain running on steep, rocky, and exposed terrain where you might need to use your hands to scramble at points on the course. Mountain races around the world that meet ISF's course criteria can register to become certified sky races. He used the tagline, "Less cloud, more sky." Skyrunning is essentially very high alpine mountain running, but with a focus on elevation gain and technicality. One huge distinction between ultras and skyrunning is that ultras can be flat. Skyrunning, of course, cannot be flat. Another distinction is that skyrunning doesn't have to be of ultra lengths. They can be shorter races. The elevation makes up for that distance in difficulty. Paved surfaces can only make up for 15% of the total distance of a sky race. The race terrain, by its nature, is very technical. Skyrunners must be able to climb, be agile enough and brave enough to run down steep trails, and sometimes there are no set trails. Sky races are held on mountains, cliffs, glaciers, anywhere where there is elevation. Now, there are 8 types of sky running races. The first is called Sky. These are races between 20K and 49K in length with a minimum of 1,200 meters of vertical climb. That's about 3,937 feet vertical climb. For this distance, races that reach over 4,000 meters of altitude, that's about 13,000 feet, must be over 10K long. Sky Ultra, these are races between 50K and 99K in distance with a minimum of 3,000 meters of vertical climb. That's about 9,800 feet. The maximum finishing time for Sky Ultras must be under 16 hours. Vertical, these are uphill only races with 1,000 meters of vertical climb. That's about 3,200 feet. These type of races can't be longer than 5K. For a vertical sky race, the minimum average incline must be at least 20%, and 5% of the total distance must be over 33%. That's ridiculously steep. You just think about that. That is so steep. Sky Speed. These are short and steep sky races with 100 meters or more of vertical climb. That's about 328 feet. And a minimum of 33% incline. That's like straight up. For reference, the steepest slope, which a standard car can climb before it slides down, is 35%. Stair climbing, vertical running. These are vertical races with an incline of over 45%. The minimum amount of vertical climb for these events is 100 meters. That's 328 feet. Skybike. It's not all running. Skybike events are duathlons, which consist of a road or mountain bike race plus vertical kilometer running or any other sky running competition. And Skyraid. These are sky running team races over long distances. Skyraids combine running with other sports such as cycling, climbing, or skiing. Sky Snow, these races are at least 70% on snow. During a Sky Snow race, competitors must use race-approved micro crampons. Sky Snow races are divided into 2 disciplines. Vertical, these are races under 5K in distance with a minimum of 15% incline, and Classic. These races are at least 9K in distance, and they must have a total incline of 3%, and there must be sections over 10%. Now, the biggest name in skyrunning is Kilian Jornet, and every runner has heard of Kilian. If you haven't, I'll include a link, and you can see all the wonderful things that he's done. He's the biggest name in the sport, and he made a name for himself by running up and down hair-raising steep mountains at record speeds. He was born in the Pyrenees Mountains. He was basically running up and down mountain peaks before he learned to crawl. Seriously. He and his fellow skyrunners practice a sport that pushes their limits in the space where earth and sky meet. Skyrunning companies organize and promote mountain events. I will talk about Kilian a little bit more later on, and some of the things that he has accomplished. Skyrunning race companies organize and promote mountain events worldwide. Key entities include the International Skyrunning Federation, ISF, who I've talked about already. They govern the sport, and its official race circuit, the Skyrunner World Series, which partners with various race directors and event organizers for specific races like Minotaur Sky Race or Sky Race Gorge de Tarn. Smaller or local regional companies also organize sky running style events, often associated with larger running event companies or trail running groups. Example of races are, of course, the Skyrunner World Series that ISF does, Longère Trail, They organized Skyrunner Georges Dutarn. Cientres, a booking platform for many races, including events like Rob Pinnacle Ridge Extreme and Skyfell Sky Race. Skyrunning UK, and they do the UK and events in UK and Ireland, and skyrunning is huge in that part of the world. National series that organizes and promotes various sky races in the UK, such as Skyfell Sky Race, Broken Arrow Sky Race, which Solomon runs, and that takes place at the Palisades Squaw Valley. I still call it that, every year at Lake Tahoe. Now, the current top athletes in skyrunning as of 2025 in women is Denise Dragomir from Romania and Anastasia Rubtsova from Russia. They're currently leading the Merrill Skyrunner World Series rankings. In the men, it's Christian Minogio of Italy and Roberto De Lorenzi of Switzerland. And yes, Kilian is widely considered the greatest skyrunner and mountain athlete of all time. He has won many of the Skyrunning World Series titles, numerous wins in prestigious ultra marathons like the UTMB, which I don't talk about much. I really don't. There's a reason for that, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and his groundbreaking achievements in sky mountaineering and solo mountain expeditions. His versatility, dominance across mountain disciplines, and unparalleled endurance make for a compelling case for his title at the greatest in this particular sport. And skyrunning is a different sport than regular ultra running. You just have to have different skills to be able to take on skyrunning than you do a regular ultra. And I'll include a couple videos to show you how intense this sport is. He has won multiple world championships in skyrunning. He holds a lot of world records in the sport. He has also won other ultra races like Hard Rock 100 and the Western States Endurance Run. He's also a very successful ski mountaineer, and he has many record-breaking expeditions all across the world, including climbing Mount Everest twice in a week. And he has done many extraordinary challenges, including climbing 82 4,000-meter peaks in the Alps in 19 days. So he has a lot of different records under his belt. If you take a look, and I'll have a link on the website at martharunstheworld.com. If you take a look at the skyrunning calendar at skyrunning.com, and I'll include a link for the calendar on the website. But if you take a look at the calendar, it shows all the different races that happened already, because we're moving into winter, and unless you're in the southern hemisphere, it's going to be winter and they're not going to hold races, and they haven't put out the next year's races yet. But if you look at the past races that took place, it's nice how it's laid out. It'll show you'll look at the race title and the country, but then when you click on the race, you'll see the date that it happened, or if you wait till they have next year's races out, you'll show the date that it's going to happen, the distance of the race, the vertical climb, the highest point, the technical level, the website, the type of a race it is. Is it a sky race? Is it a vertical? Is it an ultra? What kind it is, which is, of course, is important, and then what country it's in. And it's really fascinating to me to show that they actually have a lot of these races in countries that you wouldn't think that they would have sky races. And I guess I associate sky races with countries with a lot of snow and cold, but they have a lot of races in tropical places. So if you don't want to do a sky race in a cold country, you can go to Brazil and do it, or you can go to Indonesia and do it. Although those countries present their own problems because you're not going to be cold. You're not going to go to a frosty, cold mountain peak. You're going to go to a humid, hot mountain peak. And that in itself is another problem, and it creates its own challenges, not problems, challenges. We'll be positive. Challenges here. So that's a whole different type of race than you would do if you went to the Alps. And speaking of the Alps, there is a reason why I don't talk about UTMB. And I talked about this in a couple past episodes. UTMB has very, very terrible business practices. What they did to Gary Robbins in his race up in British Columbia is just really terrible, and I haven't forgotten about it. Maybe many people have, but I have not. And the fact that he had a race going on there for many years, he had done as a home race and a local business race. Well, they went in and they offered more money to the ski resort. So the ski resort went with UTMB, and they basically froze out Gary Robbins in his race. So he lost a lot of money, and he didn't get to have his race. And UTMB and the ski resort said, well, to heck with you, who cares? We're going to have the race. So that's why I don't support UTMB, and I don't really talk about them on the show because I find their business practices to be messed up, especially since that they are partnered with Ironman now. They're all about the big bucks. So yeah, no, I'm not even going to bring them up. I wasn't going to bring them up as a source for anything here. So that's why I didn't include them. Unless you're wondering, you're saying, what about UTMB? Well, no, sorry, I don't care. And no, I'm not going to talk about their races over this last weekend or this last week. Sorry, not part of my program. All right, so just in case you missed it and you were wondering where they were. But they're pretty cool races here. If you're interested, I will include a couple links. If you really, really like that pain in your lungs, I am not a mountain runner. I guess I'm going to be when I move closer to the mountains. I'll be more of one. I won't do those technical trails. I don't like ladders, and I don't climb over rocks. So that's not a part of my running and not a part of my thing, but I love watching people do that. I love watching videos of people do that. I admire them greatly. I think that's an amazing skill. I think that's incredible. I love watching it. So I truly do admire people who do that. Well, so how are you doing? How is your running? Mine actually is going very well. I've lost about 6 pounds, and I really feel better. My running this last week, I did work a lot this last week, but I managed to get in some great runs. I worked all weekend. I went out Saturday after work and did some fartleks. And I hardly ever sprint. I haven't sprinted in years, but I did some fartlek sprints. And I tell you, I actually, for 30 seconds at a shot, I ran fast. Well, fast for me. Probably not fast for you. You're probably saying, if I told you I ran 9-minute miles, you're probably saying that's not fast. Well, it's fast for me. And it felt pretty good to just push it. I did 5 sets, and then I was exhausted, and then I just ran slow the rest of the way. But my running is getting much better. I am able to go out there longer at running and take a lot less walking breaks. It feels better. It feels great. I had a really rough week at work this past week. It was hard. It was not an easy week, so it felt great to get out there and to actually get some nice running in. Do you ever have those work days where you feel like you say, gosh, this is terrible. I cannot wait to get home so I can go run. It was one of those days. And so I got home and I just could not wait. So I got home, changed into my running clothes, went out the door and ran. And boy, I felt so much better afterwards. Just one of those lousy days. And the day just turned around and everything was just so much better. Yeah, it was one of those. That was great. That felt really, really good. Also, I'm going to give you a little tip on quick dinners. If you run a lot, you need something really fast to eat. And I know this isn't a cooking show or anything or a food show, but I'm telling you, if you have a Trader Joe's around, buy the sous vide turkey tenderloins. They're pre-cooked, they're pre-seasoned, and they're amazing. They're so easy to cook. I mean, you just have to heat them up. They're already cooked. Just grab those, grab whatever vegetables you want, put them in with the vegetables, and you have dinner in like 5 minutes. I got some of the tricolored cauliflower last night, and I got off work, and I was so tired. I did not want to do anything. I had worked 5 days in a row, a couple 12-hour shifts, and I stopped by Trader Joe's on my way home. I got the sous vide cooked, seasoned turkey tenderloins. I got some tricolored cauliflower. I cooked them together and put them in, and what an amazing, amazing dish. Oh, God, they were really, really good. Just worked out perfectly. And I didn't have to, and I waited like 10 minutes for dinner. That was it. So good. So good. All right. Well, that is it for today's show. And thank you so much for joining me. I always really appreciate it. Everything's on the website, martharunstheworld.com. If you want to be a Patreon patron, I would truly appreciate it. That would rock my world. You can do it for $2 a month and really help out the program here. That would really, really be cool. You can also just buy me a cup of coffee and do it one time. You can do that too. That would be great. And I thank you so much ahead of time if you choose to do that. And that is it for the show. And on that note, let's tie up our shoelaces and go for a run.